Good morning. Welcome to 21st Century Native American. Glad to have you join us. We've got something kind of, well, at least pretty good interest to me. And I think before we get into the jobs and so on and so forth, I'll go ahead and introduce the guests that we do have. On my left, we have Dixie Davis, a member of the Fort McDowell tribe. Next to her is Dr. Sigrid Cara. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have Caroline Butler. And then the prestigious gentleman sitting to my right is the chairman of the Fort McDowell Reservation, Mr. Hiawatha Hood. And there has been some type of a discussion in the last, 4, 5, 6 weeks or thereabouts that borders on a reference to a gentleman by the name of Senator Barry Goldwater that made reference to the Indians of the Fort McDowell Reservation as being lazy people in the magazine Audubon. And we're going to discuss that, at least from the Indians' point of view, right after we get done with the jobs. So first of all, we got some jobs up north for those of you in the Holbrook and Winslow area from the Northland Pioneer College. They're getting ready for their fall setup, and they've got several jobs in existence. Vacancies exist in the following areas: business, administration, economics, mathematics, cooperative education, building trades, interdisciplinary studies, whatever that is, fire science, and a welding instructor. All of these inquiries can be checked on with the Director of Personnel for the Northland Pioneer College in 1400 North 8th Avenue in Holbrook. The telephone number there is 524-6106. In addition to these positions up there, they want a public information officer. Qualifications are previous experience with educational public relations of 1 year, experience in media planning for radio, television, newspapers, and you must be energetic, strong, articulate, and perceptive in the area of human relations. The deadline for that is the end of the month, July 31st, and it's $12,000 for a 10-month contract. So if you're interested in any of these jobs up at Northland Pioneer College, I'd make sure you give them a ring right off the bat. Again, the address up there is 1400 North 8th Avenue, Holbrook. The telephone number is 524-6106. Now we'll get to our friend Mr. George Diaz and see what he's got from the Department of Economic Security. First of all, the Phoenix jobs that he has an accountant 2, salary range of $1,111 to $1,461 a month, a bachelor's degree in accounting, and 1 year professional accounting experience, and that's with the Economic Security Division here in Phoenix. The closing date on that is the 29th of this month. An auto service attendant 2, $733 to $937, located here in Phoenix, 2 years automotive service experience, including steam cleaning, light and heavy duty equipment. They have a teacher administrative, $1,203 to $1,580. They need a bachelor's degree and 2 years teaching experience and an Arizona certification as a teacher in elementary, secondary, or special education. That's in the corrections of the prison women's division right here in Phoenix. Okey doke. Also, an equipment mechanic supervisor, salary range $12,336 to $16,243. Minimum qualifications of 6 years of responsible experience in the repair and maintenance of gas motorized equipment. Assignment with 400-ton vehicle motor pool. Prefer recent supervisory experience and complete diagnostic motor garage servicing both autos and trucks. Familiarity with full range of diagnostic equipment. Diesel experience is not required for this experience, and that closes also on the 29th. So give George Diaz a call. Okay, Health Program Manager 1, $15,637 to $20,558. Minimum qualifications, 2 years professional experience related to public health programs. A master's degree in public health or closely related may substitute for 1 year of the required experience. Occasional travel is involved. They prefer clinical knowledge of hypertension or clinical experience as a nurse or paramedic. And finally, looking down in the Tucson, Ajo area, social service worker 2, $1,028 to $1,353. They need a bachelor's in social or behavioral science or closely related, and 2 years experience in the appropriate social service work. In Tucson, they also need a statistical clerk 1, $653 to $835, 2 years general clerical experience required in a facility with figures. I like to deal with figures, but I don't think that's the figures they're looking at. If you're interested in any of these, give George a call down there. I'm sure he'll appreciate it, and so on and so forth. We'll be right back with our guest right after we take a short pause for the cause. Okay, I think the thing in question of what the discussion is going to center around is a letter written by Barry Goldwater in the national magazine Audubon on July of 1977, and I want to go ahead and read it in its entirety so that you can know more or less of what we're talking about. I am an avid reader of Audubon, so please excuse me if I become a little bit critical of Dennis Hanson's article, Pumping Billions into the Desert, May 1977. I can assure you, after having spent a lifetime on this project, that it is very easy for a person who has never lived under drought conditions, a person who has never watched the desert bloom, or a person who has no knowledge of the peculiar problems under which we live on the desert to take the attitude that Hanson has taken. Now let me start off by telling you that we are the 6th civilization to have lived on these deserts, and just as sure as I am dictating this letter to you, if you do not have signs of water support by the year 1980 or even 1985, Arizona is going to begin to stand still, then stagnate, then slowly drift away. While the Central Arizona Project was originally designed solely for agriculture, I seriously doubt that when water finally flows through its various arteries, it will be used for this purpose. I believe it will be used for domestic or industrial consumption. As to cost, the late Lou Douglas and I tried to get the state to build this on its own by selling bonds, and I actually had 2 companies in New York willing to go the distance, but we were an extreme minority, so the government took over. When the payout is finally made in 45 odd years, there will be over $50 million a year coming to the federal government as profit for the sale of this water, and I would rather have it for Arizona. The article uses the usual cliches that have popped up since CAP dislikers have moved into the state. The damage it will do to the Yavapais Apache Indians. Let me tell you that if that lake, which was to have been built behind Orme Dam, had been built, it would have made the lands bordering that lake, and these would have been Yavapai Apache lands, worth probably as much as $100,000 an acre. Where if the dam is not built, they will barely continue to have an existence on the lands on which they live. They are nice people, very sweet people, but they are very lazy people, and somebody has changed their minds. Then we go on to what is going to happen to 3 eagles that I know live on the upper reaches of what would be the lake behind Orme Dam. These are not American bald eagles, although they sure look like them. They are fish eaters, in fact. They would rather fish in the lake behind Bartlett Dam than fish in the waters of the Verde River, which flow below where they nest. But let's forget all that. We can live without the dam. It will just take a little more controlling at the headwaters to see that we can get the right amount of water when we need them. I would hope that in the future, when you have authors who are opposed to the development of our country, you allow some of us who have lived through the miseries of drought to have our little 2 bits worth. Signed, Barry Goldwater, United States Senate, Washington, D.C. Mr. Hood, what is the reaction to that type of letter?
Well, it makes me mad. It makes me want to go on a war path. I have been against these things for many years. We have treated in like manner for years, for generations. And we are still being treated as people that were captured, and their lands taken. And as the chairman of Mojave Apache tribe, I believe Goldwater is wrong in everything he say. Goldwater is against the Yavapais because we refused to sell our land. This is the first time in history that a tribe of Indians have butted against the United States government and break even. Here, Goldwater found out that he has run against a stone wall. This is what's happening on our reservation. Our people stood together. We fought. But we did not fight like our ancestors. We did not fight with bow and arrows. tomahawks. We fought with our mind, our pen. And today, we are still at a crossroad. Goldwater found out that we can still fight. And I want to thank those that have helped us, have supported us. Many organizations, individuals, tribes have stood by us in this struggle. Goldwater does not see our side of the picture. We have lost billions of land, acres of land. And that is all we got left, 24,000 acres. And we want to keep that, and we are going to keep that. A few months ago, I appeared on a national television, and I said this, that when I look back over the history of the American Indians and the way they were treated the last 200 years, it makes me mad that I want to go out and dig up my tomahawk, but I don't remember where I buried it. But I want to tell this to Goldwater, that I'm still looking for that tomahawk. And when I find it, Mr. Goldwater, your scalp will be hanging in my teepee.
I think you've made yourself perfectly clear. I don't think we'd have too much problem understanding the words, even though you did end on a light note. The strongness and the implementation of your thought process are well carried out. I wanted to go to Dixie next. You did a rebuttal in the Arizona Republic on that, and just to get some of your feelings about the letter itself.
Well, I did mail it to the Republic, but whether it would be printed, I don't know yet. We haven't seen anything yet. So that's...
Have you heard anything from Senator Goldwater since this thing has been in print?
No, this hasn't come out in print yet, but we have mailed it out to different newspapers and to people that...
There's been no contact by Senator Goldwater's office or any of his constituents or anything?
No one has contacted anyone as yet.
Okay. I've got a clipping here from Carolina Butler, who is the, says anchorman, anchorwoman, or whatever.
Anchorman.
Anchorman Committee to Save Fort McDowell Reservation. It says, quoting on the letter itself, "It is one more tragedy in this tribe's history that they have been so offended in a national publication in a letter written by a popular United States senator who ran for the presidency when the entire U.S. government already owes these long-suffering people a long overdue apology. But it serves to exemplify the poor attitude towards the American Indians." And what, you know, would you care to expound? I mean, it's pretty, again, that's pretty, pretty simple, but could you expound more on?
Yes. Well, today is 1977, and Senator Goldwater is very upset with the Yavapais because they refused to sell their land for the Orme Dam and reservoir. Well, 100 years ago, when Indians refused to sell their land, they were called ignorant savages. And today, Senator Goldwater calls them very lazy people. So what's the difference? It just goes to show the poor attitude towards the American Indians, which has not improved in the past 100 years. Now, it's a very serious insult because Senator Goldwater happens to be these people's elected senator, their elected man in Washington. So if you were an American Indian, how would you like to have Senator Goldwater representing you in Washington? I find this very outrageous.
Senator Goldwater has I guess, at least in the Anglo world, purportedly a strong helping of the Indian people. At least he's, well, everybody knows he's got a big Hopi doll, Kachina doll collection and so on and so forth. And it's kind of strange to see him come up on something in this particular light and so on and so forth, if we believe what we've been told before as to what he's done and so on and so forth, supposedly for the Indian people.
That's correct, and it just goes to show you that apparently Senator Goldwater has slipped, but has shown his true colors. Mm-hmm. Now, I have also been very saddened, very disappointed, and still very outraged that every day I check with the tribal chairman from Fort McDowell, and I have asked him, have you received an apology from Senator Goldwater? And each day the answer is no. And I wish that Senator Goldwater would step forward and apologize to these people. He has insulted them in a national publication. He doesn't know any of those people out there personally. So actually he has insulted every Indian in America, mm-hmm. and he needs to come forward with an apology. And the sooner I would hope, the better. Okay.
Let's get into the specifics. I know this is going to be kind of old hat in a way, Mr. Hood. I'd like to hear it, I guess. Maybe you could call it straight from the horse's mouth in respect of just what is the particular stand on CAP, the Orme Dam, and all this of the tribe per se. I mean, like I said, I know, and it's been asked several times, it's been in publications, but just for the edification of our viewers.
Well, we have a referendum vote on our reservation last spring, and we rejected the Orme Dam altogether. And there have been others who have, the governor, who seem to be on our side, and the Secretary of the Interior, who still thinks that Orme is not needed. And also we have bills in Congress in which we made an amendment that Orme Dam be eliminated. We want this eliminated because our people will, in the future, will have no place to live. There'll be millions of dollars in their hands, but that will be just, say, might just fly out their hands, but the land will always be there. So that's the way we think today. It is for the future that we are thinking, not the present or the past. We want our future generation to have a place to live and enjoy life. So that is the stand of the Yavapais today.
Okay. Caroline, you might be able to go ahead and answer this. I'm not that familiar with the mechanical situation of the CAP project. Now, by not building Orme Dam, that doesn't jeopardize the total CAP project, or does it? Or how does that fit into
No, the Bureau of Reclamation says that the CAP is still a viable project without the Orme Dam.
Okay. Now, they have used the concept of a flood control thing for the Orme Dam. I was told by at one time, now this is just, I'm just asking for clarification, that in reality the Orme Dam was going to be purely recreational.
No, in reality, if you strip all the trappings and the words from the Orme Dam, it is a flood control dam. It was designed as a flood control dam, and that was the main purpose for the Orme Dam. But the Bureau of Reclamation, who is in charge of this project, they're not in the flood control business. Their business is to import and transport water. And they have said so. Of course, it is not said too loudly. But if you strip everything from, all the trappings from Orme Dam, it is a flood control dam.
Okay, if it's a flood control dam, then that would mean that there should be, or it would seem like, at least from a layman's point of view, being mine at this particular point, that the fluctuation of the lake would be very great, you know, to be able to take other things. So how would the land be worth $100,000 an acre after the dam was put in, or would it be?
That's a very valid question, because you would have a reservoir with mud flats, which is not conducive to a good recreation area. So if the land would be worth $100,000 an acre after the Orme Dam is built, that's questionable. But the question of money, I would like to tell Senator Goldwater, and I would like to tell all the listeners that, you know, everybody is wondering why the Yavapais didn't grab the money and run when they were offered a high price for their land by the government in exchange for the Orme Dam and Reservoir. Well, these people have had many offers made to them by outside enterprises proposing recreational setups on Fort McDowell, and it would bring them in millions of dollars. It would bring them in more money than the government offered them. And the people have turned it down. They like their land as it is right now. It's in a fairly pristine state. They don't obviously want to develop their land. But they have been offered millions of dollars. They could be rich many times, because they have
Much more than what the government is.
much more. And they have been made these offers, not just once or twice, but many times over the years, because Fort McDowell is so beautiful. It has a river. It's just a very scenic area.
Okay. Okay, we'll be right back to continue this discussion right after we take a short pause. Okie doke. Not wanting to miss any of our guests, Dr. Cara, just how did you get involved in this situation?
Okay, I'm a social anthropologist, and I was contacted by the oldest man of Fort McDowell and another old man, an elder of the community. And they had asked me to write down what they have to say about the history, how they got the land, the reservation, how hard they worked, how they went to Washington in 1903 to get this land, and how they developed agriculture. And the main idea was to show the people in Arizona what is the real history of the Yavapai, because the idea is always they are sort of drifters from nowhere. And what really was the case, that there were several thousand Yavapai who had about 10 million acres, and in the 1870s they were just killed off to a few hundred, and they were sent for 30 years to San Carlos, to the Apache reservation. And then they were allowed about 1900 to come back to their land. And now they are referred to as Mojave Apache, which sort of gives the idea of that they are neither Mojave nor Apache, and actually they are Yavapai, they're something completely different. And this is one point which is by many people who are interested in the land to push the Yavapai out, is to say this is not the ancestor land. They are drifters. They should be in the Apache or the Mojave reservation. What they are is Yavapai who had always been here, and unfortunately they were allowed only the small reservation of Fort McDowell, which is something like a little more than 25,000 acres, and some small reservations in Prescott, Middle Verde, and Clarkdale. So, and if Senator Goldwater feels these people are lazy, I feel he should look a little bit in the actual history of these people, how hard they worked.
Okay. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come, and I know this is a very strong matter within your minds and in the thought process. It's very obvious by your comments. And Mr. Hood, I really thank you for taking the time from a busy schedule to share your comments and your thought processes, and we're more than happy to cooperate in any time, any type of venture of this thing, and so on and so forth. And I hope that possibly something along these lines can be rectified to your satisfaction. And my heart goes out with your cause very much. Thank you very much, all of you. We want to go ahead and thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week. We'll have a little bit on some new golf tournaments in Salt Lake City around August 13, 14, 15, a little film clip on it. And don't forget the U.S. Indian Open will be coming up the following week in Monticello, Utah, around the 19th, 20th, and 21st. But we'll give you all the specifics on that next week. I want to thank you for joining us. And, oh, yeah, I want to make sure I go ahead and get this one parting thought in you. During the doings and powwows, like I started last week, there was these little kids that was hanging around there, and these white people came down to see the doings. And they asked these kids what their fathers did, you know, just to kind of get more information, general information on the kids. And the guy said, oh, my dad's a pilot. And so the white couple were very happy to hear this. They could see the Indians really projecting themselves and getting into the mainstream of society, and they were really, really pleased with that. So consequently, they asked, you know, well, you know, have you ever seen your dad work? So, oh, sure. Where does he work at? Well, he works on a reservation, and he's a pilot. Oh, yeah, he piles it here, and he piles it there, and so on and so forth. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us.